Hi, John Graham, HoustonISO9000.com. We're going through ISO 9001-2015, looking at Section 8, and specific 8.3, Design and Development. Now, many companies are exempt from this because they're not designing products. But if you are, there are a few things that we need to look at very carefully. What I find that most companies, when I go in and as a consultant and look at what they're doing, they're already doing everything required by ISO. It may not be in a good organized fashion where we have all the records in the right place. So let's talk about that for a second. The standard starts off and says you need a plan. Now, if you don't already use something like Microsoft Project or equivalent, have a company form or folder where you lay out the plan. And the plan is, how's this design going to unfold and who's going to be doing what? And don't forget, you might have parts of your design outsourced to a vendor, some particular engineer. I had one client using a seismic engineer to do structural work and validation of a large structure that goes into a chemical plant. But keep thinking it through. You might have some customer reviews. I've worked with a military company, and they had to have the colonels come in and sign off before they could go to the next step working with this project for the Army. So just think through the plan. It's the grand plan of how this design is going to unfold. The standard says you'll have evidence of that. Now, next is design input. We can say, hey, we're excellent engineers. What do you want me to design? That's what the input is. And it's usually a lot of specifications, could be drawings and sketches that come from customers or whatever. Could be an order, a purchase order with a lot of things that go with it. But you got to clearly have records of here's what we're going to design. Now you start designing it and the standard says let's go into control. Now we review the design. You might review it once or multiple times. Remember the colonels coming in from the Army to sign off at different stages, or it could be your management, senior management signing off. Some companies call them design gates, where they have to sign off as you pass to the next gate to make sure, because there's a lot of money and resources involved here. Then it says under controls, you go into verification and validation. This is very confusing for a lot of people, but if you'll remember this and you look at the definitions in ISO 9000, it gives you this, and in so many words, if you look at it, you'll gain this concept. The first one, verification, is about, is this going to work for us? How do we make sure this is going to we're going to be able to manufacture this? Then now let's look at validation when we turn and look at the customer and we validate it in the customer's environment. We would like to be able to do that on site, but maybe you truly can't. In a downhole situation and drilling rigs, the only way you can truly simulate that is put it down there at so many thousand feet under the heat, torque, pressure, maybe a sulfur H2S environment, and to truly validate that, and we have to get feedback from the customer and see if the product's how it performs and if we need to make adjustments. And then at the end, the last thing the standard says is your output. Okay, what did we come up with in the end? We have design output records. They could be CAD drawings in SolidWorks. It could be hard drawings laid out on paper. In flat file type drawings, specifications, formulations, bills of materials, whatever you need to say, here's our design, so that other people can go make this design now in manufacturing. And then there's one last thing in the standard it talks about is design changes. Most companies that are doing this have worked with what they call ECNs, engineering change notices, forever. Now the standard doesn't say you have to call it that, but it does say when you make a change, it has to be very clear what the change is, that you validated the change, and who said so. Clear records of all of this.